right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Sportsmen. As always, we've got Mikey V back. Actually, not as always. We had the Jet last week. Happy to have Mikey back. Joey D, as always, and myself, the big ticket. Gentlemen, should be a fun one. First of all, I want to address this lighting. Whenever we do it at night in here, I got to get some kind of light. It's like the worst lighting of all time. I look tired, and
you look like you're about to get probed into like an alien UFO ship.
I know. It's not good. I admit that it's a problem, and I got
that being said, the Wi-Fi looks better. Have you?
Does it look better?
Wi-Fi should be good,
dude.
Did you get AT&T now?
No, I have them coming next week. But I called the Earthlink guys, right? And I said, "Can I just upgrade through you instead of canceling and going to the AT&T guys?" And they're like, "Sure, of course you can." And I was like, "Okay, great. I'm looking for like 100, maybe even like 200 megabytes." And the guy was like, "Oh, we only go up to 45.
Oh my God, man. That's a problem.
I'm just gonna have to cancel with these guys. These motherfuckers. Sure. It should be illegal to sell someone 24 megabits and then charge them $80 a month. I'm getting robbed.
I have 200.
Yeah, see, that's wonderful. Yeah, how much do you pay?
$87.
I'm paying the same fucking price for 24.
Yeah, dog. You know why? Because AT&T, I have my phone plan with AT&T, so I save $25 a month by doing that. So it's like it's
like the SIP club.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's some things that you just have to go with. That was a great deal. When they told me they could give me the 200, I was like, done. I mean, this is our profession. This is what we do.
Sure. I mean, I definitely
Mike, what was that, Mike? It is. This is what we do. That we got to have good Wi-Fi.
You don't need to do this for a living to want to have good Wi-Fi. I mean, I was a nut job about Wi-Fi before I even started doing any of this stuff. I was just like, it would drive me nuts.
We're running.
It's essential. It's essential.
You need good Wi-Fi.
Bro, if I'm sending big files to the Jet, like on WeTransfer or whatever, I can't have the TV on at the same fucking time.
Oh my!
I have to pick or choose. I know it's a nightmare. So I'm gonna get that fixed. I'm glad that it's working right now, though. All right, let's just jump right into it. March Madness, NCAA tournament. It looks like there's one team that's better than the rest, but gentlemen, talk to me about what happened last weekend and who you like.
Yeah, I mean, Elite Eight. I think a lot of people started getting into like trendy picks. I was talking about this. I'm really dumb yesterday a little bit. Like Tennessee, I like Purdue and UConn are just blowing teams out and covering spreads every round by like a significant margin. Now obviously Tennessee hung in that game pretty much. I mean, they hung around. Tennessee hung around. But ultimately Purdue pulled away again in the end. UConn is a runaway freight train. NC State's the last darling left in the tournament. Good for them. I think that was a positive draw for them to get Duke in the Elite Eight because, you know, a lot of familiarity there, which is good. Right. Like it's like when they play a team now that they're not used to playing, I think their run ends here in the Final Four. I can't see them going to the final. I think this is just destiny, Purdue and UConn. I think it's a crash course for Purdue and UConn. Alabama's an interesting team only
because they can score a lot.
Alabama could score on anybody. So it's like Alabama, you know, regular season Alabama was like not one of those teams that you'd want to go in on all the time only because they don't play any semblance of defense. But in the tournament, obviously, they're starting to play a little bit of defense to you know, whatever defense looks like for them. So when they play a little defense, if they just defend well enough, they have so many scores. Sears and, you know, they just shoot the ball. They don't even set up offense. They just transition, run, pull up, pop three, transition, run, pull up, pop three. And if they're running well, I mean, they could beat anybody. I mean, because they could just score. But again, to me, I think it just has all the writing on the wall now that it's UConn and Purdue. Could be wrong, could see an upset. I don't think you'll see NC State upset. I think if any team has the ability to upset, it's Alabama. But the issue is that I just think UConn and Purdue are just too good. I just think they're too good. And I think that's the matchup that you'll see. And we won't be able to record, obviously, before the national title is over because it's next Monday night. So You know, my money would be on the UConn Huskies at this point. It's just keeping it simple, just the eye test, just watching how they're demolishing teams. It's them to me.
The spreads on both games. I mean, Purdue's
11.5, 9.
Purdue's favored almost 9, 8.5.
Yeah. That opened at 9.
11.5.
Yeah, that's what it opened at. That's still the same. So that hasn't changed. But that's right. I mean, that's right. 11.5. I mean, listen, if I'm going to fuck around and take a dog this weekend, I would take Bama with the points, only because I think they score so well that they may be able to keep it to an 8-point game, maybe at the end. But I still see UConn like kind of cruising. I don't see them. I don't see an overtime game. I don't see a game where UConn has to come back very late in the game, unless just Alabama just goes ballistic with the 3-pointers. But yeah, that may be just a little bit too many points, but I got to be honest, every round I'm saying UConn's given too many points and they're just fucking steamrolling teams. So I mean, that's why last weekend I kind of just stopped with any of the underdog stuff. The underdog stuff was working well in the beginning of the tournament. Now in the nitty gritty, the Elite Eight, I don't know. The thoroughbred teams are proving their worth in Purdue and UConn.
It's going to be interesting. I will say the Purdue Tennessee game, Tennessee was up like 11 points in the first half. And then they took their foot off the gas pedal. Like they let Purdue right back in. And then it was never close after that. UConn to me has looked dominant, very, very dominant. But I still think, with Zach Edey, this guy is such a menace down low that I think the thing is that you saw how he played last game. He had 41 points, like 16 rebounds. When he's playing, he's not in foul trouble. He makes his free throws, so you can't just hack him. He's such a tough guy that I kind of like Purdue to win it all right now. I know that UConn is going to be everybody's favorite, but I just think he's such a mismatch that it makes teams play differently. And a lot of teams, like you look at Tennessee, they were in foul trouble the entire game, like first half and second half, to the point where if they could get free throws and get in the bonus early, it could be interesting. I do agree with you, Mikey. I think NC State, I think they've been a great story. Yeah. I think DJ Burns has been an awesome watch. It's a great turnaround from a team that shouldn't even been in the tournament. They won 5 of their last games, won the ACC tournament to make the playoffs. They won 9 straight. But I do think they're at this point now, they're facing the crème of the crème, right? So I think they're done. I do agree. Is it crème de la crème?
Yeah, but that's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
Technically, in French, crème of the crème.
Right.
Della does mean.
I prefer the English version anyway. Crème of the crème. Yeah.
But I think anybody, most people would say it's going to come down to Purdue, Connecticut. I do agree with you, Mikey. Though, listen, if there's a team that could come out and fire some threes early on, and establish a lead and kind of make UConn play outside of what they've been doing. That's the one team that might be a favorite, but 11.5 points. I mean, it's such a huge spread that it's like, oh my God.
But I mean, like you look at UConn's games in the tournament. They beat a very good Illinois team that could score. They beat them by 29. Game before that, they played a defensive team in San Diego State, hung up 82 and beat them by 30. Game before that, they wrecked Northwestern. They beat Northwestern almost by 20. They beat them by 18 or 17. First round, they had the blowout, obviously, against Stetson. I won't even count that. They won by 4.
Yeah, I mean,
you're talking about a team that's won by 20 points at least 20 points almost every single round, bro. Like
Purdue beat Gonzaga by 18. I mean,
and that was definitely a very impressive win. And I got to be honest, the Tennessee win was a good win too. Again, I just wasn't a believer in Tennessee. I had watched Tennessee a lot for whatever reason. That's not because I really gave a shit. It's just per chance games I was betting. Tennessee always seemed to be on TV. So I was watching them. They didn't remind me of the Tennessee of last year where they play like lockdown defense. Like Tennessee last year, if you remember, like they held teams to 50s and 60s almost every game. They were a lights out defensive team. It wasn't that good of a Tennessee team to me. Still a fun team that
they have Connect. That guy's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And then that Ziegler's another really good player. But aside from that, they didn't have the scoring to contend throughout the game.
They couldn't defend Zach Edey, man. And Zach Edey, if you don't get him in foul trouble, and Purdue's very good at like flopping a little bit. Purdue's very theatrical team. They're good at picking up fouls on their end. If you don't get Edey in like a 2-foul situation in the first 10 minutes of the first half, it's very, very difficult to deal with him. Like it's nearly impossible. So it's going to depend a lot how these referees call the games too. I hope they don't call them, too tight, because then you get into the, it's kind of hard for a guy that size to even operate if you're going to call a tight game like that. So I think it'll be classic, the Edey matchup and DJ Burns, like you said, Joe, and you got the kid Sears from Bama, who's been unbelievable. They show his mom every time he shoots in the stands. It's very entertaining. She does the free throws with him in synchrony. It's very good. It's very good. And then, and then you got whatchamacallit, who's playing Purdue? Northwest? No, Alabama.
NC State.
Yeah, Alabama.
NC
Yeah,
State.
no, I was thinking about Alabama. The other kid, the white kid, he's doofy looking, bro, but he's good. He can run the floor a little bit. The kid, he looks like Cletus, the slack-jawed yokel from The Simpsons. He's really good. He's really good. I like him. He's a player. He's a player. He's a player. I like him.
Tick, what do you think? Who do you like?
The biggest thing with UConn, who I think is by far the best team, is that they have not played a single close game. And I think now I'm very nervous for them to get into a close game, which they will almost certainly get in against Alabama, because they're not going to be able to slow Alabama's defense down, and they're not going to be coasting in the second half of games anymore. So I think that UConn, it's not that they can't get it done. It's just that I haven't seen them do it, and I'm nervous about that for them, because they're going to have 2 coming up. There's no way they're beating Alabama and Purdue, who I think they'll probably play, by 20 or by 15. Those are going to be single-digit games, and UConn's going to have to step up to the plate, whereas Purdue has been playing tougher games. That Tennessee game, they hung around, man. That was a real game down to the wire. Obviously,
they hung in there. They hung.
They
couldn't take it in like striking distance. They hit threes.
Correct.
Like Purdue would go up like 6 or 8 points, and then Tennessee would come down and hit a 3. So
they kept him honest.
The kid from Bama is Grant Nelson. That's the kid. He's a senior.
Yeah.
He's a tall kid. He's like 6'11", almost 7 feet tall. He could play. So that's another, interesting
Tennessee
matchup, I think.
They kept Purdue honest, though. They absolutely did. They were not allowed to take the foot off the pedal at any point. So it'll be interesting to see if UConn gets into a game like that, if they have the sauce, if they have that Tor sauce to be able to
they
pull
also
one
won
out
last year, so they got that experience, and they got a hell of a coach.
Yeah,
I'm picking them. Right now, my pick to win this whole thing, because like Mikey said, we're not going to have an episode before it happens. I'm picking UConn. I'm just saying that's my big issue with that, or what I'm nervous about.
Who was your pick in the bracket, Ticket? Wasn't it UConn?
It was UConn. I had UConn.
I was going to say
mine was Purdue.
That's my only chance to win the bracket.
So you guys are both alive, yeah.
You're currently in first, by the way, and I'm
Mikey
in dead
is.
last.
Yeah,
That's what I mean. Mikey is.
I think I'll be out though. Although I do have UConn. I do have UConn making it to the final, I think.
Right.
Or Purdue. I have one of them making it to the final, but I had them losing to North Carolina.
You have the least amount of points available to win.
Yeah.
I think it's going to come down.
I only have one team left. So
which is that UConn making it to the
right, but I had North Carolina winning the whole thing, so I think I have Purdue. So I think I have Purdue making.
Well, let's pivot to that real quick. That's our guy, Cormac Ryan. Let's touch on that game. Alabama fucking scored through the roof, as they normally do, and North Carolina scored through the roof in the first half and then sort of offensively fell apart in the second half. What'd you guys see there?
There's no team in the country, in my opinion, that can play with Alabama at Alabama's pace. If you're going to, and that includes UConn. UConn is the best team. There's not even a question, but like, UConn is too smart to do that. Like, I felt like North Carolina got caught in the trap of trying to play the back and forth transition game, fast paced, chucking the ball up, shooting a lot of 3. Like, you cannot beat Alabama like that. You got to slow the game down. And that's what I imagine UConn will do. And they'll try and punish them inside. Because if you allow Alabama to operate like that, like I said, these guys, I mean, they don't even care. Like, anybody will just shoot the 3. Anybody. And they set nothing up. They maybe run a couple high screens at the top of the 3-point line. Maybe they'll run a couple ball screens, but a lot of the times they just come up in a transition and they just pull up pop. I mean, that's what they do. Now, whether or not they're falling is how they're going to go. But obviously they've fallen well enough for them to be able to reach the point they've reached, the Final Four. And that's what I thought North Carolina did wrong. You know, you don't want to get caught playing Alabama's style of basketball, because I don't think anybody can keep up with them if you're going to play that pace.
They needed to establish Baycott more in the deep post, slow the game down, like Mikey said, and really play their own game. I think UNC is the best when they feed Baycott. He's their best Baycott's player. Good. And when he just gets in that low post, he establishes himself. It ends up being either a ton of fouls or he dominates down low.
I think RJ Davis is their best player.
Well,
but
yes.
I will say this. I think Baycott is their advantage player. I think Baycott gives them that. To me, he's the X factor guy against all these teams, because like you said, Joe, you could pound them. And a lot of these teams don't have a big that's that good. So that's why I was kind of surprised with that also. But that kid, Grant Nelson, again, the kid from Bama, he played a good game. And again, you can't run and gun with Bama, and UConn won't. UConn's just too smart. They're too well coached. I don't think they'll try and do that at all. So that's where I think Alabama's going to have a tough time. But yeah, hats off to UNC though. Our boys, they won a couple games. They won first round, second round. You know, I had them beating Bama, covering the spread.
Good,
they didn't,
man.
but they only lost by 2 points. But
when they blew the doors off of Michigan State, I said, okay, here we go. They look poised for a nice deep run. And unfortunately,
well, the first half they looked phenomenal. They came out swinging, man.
Yeah, they did.
They just fell apart offensively in the second half against a team that does not play very good defense.
You gotta think this tournament.
That's kind of like what I said. They just don't play any defense, Bama. But all of a sudden in the tournament, when they had to get stopped, sometimes they've been playing more defense. I'll say that.
This tournament's so tough because you're playing all these different teams that you have to prepare for and play different. And it's a one and done. Like, it's oftentimes not always the best team coming out of it. So if you just have like a 5-minute stretch where you can't score, and all of a sudden, you start watching this other team creep back, and then you start trying to force shots that you wouldn't be making. And all of a sudden it's like, it's very easy to lose your way. And I think that's what happened. And that's why, to Mikey's point, with this game UConn's playing against Alabama, it's 11.5 point spread, which is tons. But again, if Bama comes out firing through like early and often and hitting shots and making threes, like, it'll be interesting to see, like you said, Ticket, how they're going to adjust, how they're going to play the back and forth. Because this is like NFL, which is why I love it, is one and done. Best team that game wins, moves on. And anyone can win, man. Anyone can win.
All right, Joe, real quick, with who's left, who do you have winning it all?
Well, I took Purdue to win it in my bracket. I think they got through, the early stages where people doubted them, that they were going to flop. Now they're starting to play like they are the 1 seed. They're starting to really believe and look good. As good as Edie is, that point guard, that white kid, what is his name? Brian's or
for who?
Oh my
Purdue?
God. Purdue, that shifty little white guard they have. He can pop the three. He's averaging like over 10 assists.
Braden Smith.
Yeah, Braden Smith. That's it. But he's quick off the dribble. He can get to the fucking hoop and score. He can pop threes. I like them. I think Edie is as tough a matchup as you're going to find. I think they can play their game and force other teams to play their game too. So that's who I picked to win it. I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to roll with Purdue to win the whole thing.
All right, Mikey, who do you like with who's left?
UConn.
You do like, okay, me too.
Yeah, I like UConn. Yeah.
Do you think Zach Edey's going to be a good NBA player?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either, but a lot of people seem to be.
And I'm not trying to trash Zach Edey. I just don't think his game will translate to the NBA now.
The big man
today's NBA
like that is. So. You got a big man in the NBA now. It's like Giannis, where the guy's popping threes and can hit the fucking a deep, elbow perimeter shot, and he can do everything. Edey is not that guy, man. He's setting a pick and roll. He's only in the low post. I can't see it translating really well to stronger, bigger, faster players in the NBA.
All right. Well, with that being said, let's move on to Major League Baseball. It's back.
Wow.
And Joey D, a longtime not big fan of the sport, he's on record saying that he's very excited about the beginning of this season and that baseball's back. And I'm sure he's happy, as well as Mikey, that the Yankees are 5-0. I mean,
oh wow, it's pretty special, man.
Special stuff.
They are a feisty team right now. They're a good bunch. It's fun to watch.
It's April, but they do look good. They look good.
It's too early. I said this
5-game winning streak, Michael.
I know. I said I'm brilliantly dumb though yesterday. Like, all I'll say is that it's a great start. Because you can't give any educated take on baseball 5 games into the season with 147 left to play. You can't. But that being said, if you're just asking me what I've seen in 5 games from them, I mean, I'm seeing guys other than Judge, who typically has to carry this team or has had to carry this team in the lineup, contribute. Last night it wasn't Soto, it wasn't Judge, it was Gleyber Torres, it was Anthony Volpe, and Oswaldo Cabrera has been great as well. So if Volpe is gonna play this way the whole season, and they get a DJ LeMahieu back, let's say, and they get Giancarlo to start contributing, and Judge has really done nothing yet. Once he starts getting rolling, and you forget about that they still got Jason Dominguez that's going to come back, who's an absolute stud. I mean, listen, the only thing that is the question mark to me is the rotation. I just don't trust the rotation. They've been good enough with the lineup contributing the way they are. The bullpen, surprisingly, has been good. But I still am concerned about the rotation without Garrett Cole. Now, if Garrett does come back and he's able to play, and it's not going to be a season shutdown job, which, with the Yankees, you never know. They tell you 2 months. 2 months could come up. They could have him throwing in a rehab session, and all of a sudden they'll tell you, he had a setback. That's typical Yankees. So until I see Garrett Cole on the mound in a regular season game, I'm not going to believe he's coming back until then. But I mean, certainly if they can continue this momentum, the way the lineup, and I mean, what's not to love about what Juan Soto's done since he's come over here? I mean, guys making plays in the field, guys getting clutch hits at the plate. I mean, he's everything is advertised and then some. Just incredible contribution Soto's been so far.
Anything, Joe? Anything to add there?
I mean, I think he summed it up pretty good. The AL East is going to be an interesting division this year. So I think it's huge for the Yankees to start out strong and really start to establish themselves as one of the top teams. Because, when Cole went down, or so we thought, you thought immediately the pitching isn't strong enough. The bullpen is weak. Like, they're not going to be great. So for them to get a huge start, like we said yesterday on the Brilliant Dumb Show, winning 4 on the road at a very tough Houston ballpark, that is as good as you could have asked. And now they won last night against the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks look like to be a really good team again. They're making plays. There was a point last night in the 7th inning, bases are loaded, no outs. It looks like, okay, it's 5-1. They get a run on a sac fly. Martell does, and all of a sudden you have Corbin Carroll coming up, and you're like, okay, here it comes. They're gonna, open the floodgates, and they just make plays. They just making good defensive plays on and getting out of jams, and it's good to see, man. It's fun to watch. And I just really hope they keep rolling, because then the team's gonna keep believing themselves. Volpe's been amazing. Volpe looks like he has what we expected last year.
He belongs.
Well, but I think took him a little bit last year to kind of find his way. But I think there's so much pressure on him early.
He was so young too, though. I mean, he was.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
He's a baby.
So he's actually coming out and looking like he belongs, and he believes he should be there. And if that continues, I mean, their batting is going to be one of the really hard to contend. It's pretty fun to watch. I really hope they keep it going. It's
when are you guys gonna let loose, just cut loose Giancarlo Stanton, man?
Yes.
This guy is a fucking bum, dude.
He swings for the fences every time.
And he can't do anything. He's a DH. He doesn't play the field. I mean, he sucks.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
he stinks.
He has his moments when he's healthy. He does. He has his moments when he's healthy. He goes on these runs where sometimes he's like a very, very intimidating at bat. when he gets hot. But again, the injury thing with him is the injury thing with him really was what I've seen derail his tenure so far in New York, because when he's healthy and he's contributed in clutch situations. I remember briefly in the playoffs a couple years back where he was contributing quite a bit. It's just a matter of him staying healthy. And now, if he's going to be a bum, I mean, he's only 34. It's not like he's 38, 37 years old, but I don't know, man. I think for Giancarlo, it's all about staying healthy and just seeing what he could do. He's only got 3 hits, I think, so far this year. That's what I mean, though. This is actually a positive, really, because the Yankees are 5-0. Giancarlo Stanton's only got 3 hits. Judge really hasn't gone on a judge. There's so many guys that could contribute that haven't yet. Sure. And yet you're 5-0 with no real stud ace pitcher. So
yeah.
The Yankees, I mean, listen, it's an exciting start, and it's just that. I mean, you got the Pittsburgh Pirates still haven't lost a game, unless I'm missing something.
That's insane,
you're right,
man.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh Pirates still haven't lost. The Yankees haven't lost, and there's 2 other teams that haven't lost. Trying to think. The Dodgers.
No, the Dodgers have lost.
Did they lose?
Have lost. I think they're 4-2.
The Detroit Tigers, they haven't lost.
Okay.
And then
the Yankees, the Pittsburgh Pirates,
and the Brewers.
One other team.
The Brewers.
Okay. Yeah. So while the Brewers played the Mets, the Mets are a total.
The Mets are a fire sale.
They're a nightmare right now.
Oh my!
I feel so bad for my friends who are Mets fans, because again, I've said this before. Mets fans hate the Yankees so much, and I just don't care about the Mets. I
don't find that they do. I feel like Mets fans don't care about that.
Fucking hate the Yankees.
Every Mets fan I've met is we're not even in the same league. We don't.
Yeah, all the Mets fans I know can't stand the fucking Yankees. And
I don't know.
Frank the Tank is going to have a heart attack before the season.
Sure,
I hope not, man. I hope not. He's been walking a lot.
I think Mets fans are too worried about their own team to be worried about the Yankees whatsoever, man.
It's concerning. It's concerning.
And meanwhile, the Phillies fucking suck again. They suck again.
Well,
it's early. Their opening series was the Braves, right?
Yeah, but God forbid
Has Atlanta lost?
Yeah, they have.
They lost one.
Okay. It's Brewers, it's Tigers, it's Yankees
and Pittsburgh
Pirates, which is that'll turn around. There's no way that ship's gonna
that's what I mean. So how much stock are you?
But the thing with the Phillies is the amount. It's just like if the Yankees stunk too. It's like the amount of money that you're pumping and that you're really trying, and you're going out and getting these players, and everyone's just underperforming. And Bryce Harper's diving into the camera fucking dugout, and he's putting his life on the line on game 4 of the season. And it's like, what are we fucking doing, man? It's just so infuriating, because we're going to make the playoffs and we're going to go out in the second round, just like the Eagles do, just like the Flyers are going to do, like the whole fucking city. We live for second round losses.
I really thought that the Phillies were going to win the whole thing last year.
Me
I really
too.
thut they were the team of destiny.
Yeah, they look.
You said you put a future on. You put a future on.
I was so invested in them, man.
Harper
I just thought they had the
unbelievable.
magic. I thought they had the magic last year, dude. I really did. And you know what, Tick? The same way you're saying it's April. It's April.
I know it's April, but I've seen this pattern 1,000 times, Mikey. It's going
this
down.
This is typical Philly.
No, it's not.
I'm typical. Yes, it is, Tick. It's exactly what I do with the Bears. It's exactly what you do with the Eagles. This is what we do. Because we're used to so much misery. This is
correct.
What we do.
I think there are some teams that are warranted to do that, like the Bears, the Eagles, and the Phillies. If Joe was that way as a Packers fan, that would be egregious, because all they've had is success.
It would be. Yes.
I think we are warranted in our
feelings.
We've
only won 2 Super Bowls in the last 15 years?
Yeah, but you're always good. You're always good. You're always there.
You
got good players.
Yeah. No, the Super Bowl thing certainly is an argument. That certainly is an argument.
I mean, it's always a bridesmaid, never a bride. I mean, that's almost worse.
Yeah.
But I
get to the dance and you don't win. It's so infuriating as a fan when you know that your team is like 1 or 2 pieces away and your fucking team refuses to make a splash in free agency or to go spend money or to go do what you know, because you have a fucking Hall of Fame quarterback and you had a Hall of Fame quarterback the fucking before, and you can't go out and make sure that you're a dynasty
too. Never know.
Yeah, he looks pretty damn good, man.
Look fucking.
I admire that you're always excited. Like you're always next year you're always like, next year is going to be a good one. And I'm like,
I mean, even in a year, this was supposed to be a rebuilding year. And I mean, even in a rebuilding year, they were fucking awesome.
Yeah,
so it's
true.
like,
we should have been in the fucking divisional or in the fucking NFC championship.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Didn't happen.
We
Next
did
year,
it, yeah.
next year you will. Although the NFC North might be the strongest division in football.
The Bears are going to be good this year.
The Bears are going to be good. The Packers, the Lions are going to be the Lions again.
The Vikings might be the worst team in the NFC.
Well, the Vikings, it sounds like Minnesota is going to roll with Darnold, at least for this year, and then a quarterback in next year's draft. At least that's what I saw today. But again,
I thought you said they were going to go after fucking what's
Drake May.
No,
yeah, JJ McCarthy, but
McCarthy from Michigan.
This is the problem with listening to anything that is being said in these weeks now. This is all purely smoke now to try and jockey for position for who you want to play mind games with other GMs. That's all they're doing now. So you can't take any stock in anything right now. And now the best thing about now is just understanding that the draft isn't far away. It'll be here before you know it. And that'll be, something that it's going to be a lot of fun this year. But yeah, NFC North is going to be ridiculous. NFC North should be really, really tough this year. Should be really tough.
Is it going to be a lot of fun this year because you have the number 1 pick?
Yeah, I mean, that'll be fun.
Is that what makes it more fun than other years of the draft?
Well, I mean, I just think that the Bears, whatever Ryan Poles has done, he certainly flipped this roster and made it extremely competitive. And I think that they made some moves this offseason with Swift and Gerald Everett and Keenan Allen. And they brought in a couple, quality NFL starting linemen. I mean, they're putting this kid, Caleb Williams, in a situation that's probably the best situation a rookie quarterback picked number 1 overall has ever stepped foot into. That's a real statement. Like, I can appreciate that, and I appreciate what Poles has done with the roster. That in combination with how good Jordan Love looked with the Packers to end the year, how dominant he was on the road against Dallas, how much he hung in that game they should have won probably against San Francisco in their building. Yeah. And then you have the Lions who should have won the NFC Championship arguably, and they didn't, so you got 3 teams that I think are going to be bona fide really good teams. The only thing that's the question mark is what Minnesota is going to roll out at quarterback. Because all the other teams, quarterback-wise, I think, unless Caleb completely flops, which I guess is possible, but all these other teams seem to have a really solid plan at quarterback. Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, and Jared Goff. And then you got Sam Darnold. And are they going to roll with Darnold? Or are they going to make the leap to go up and get a McCarthy or get a Drake May or get one of those guys? Either way, I just think that division on paper is just a very competitive division.
You would think because of the rest of the division being so strong that they would make a play to go ahead and get someone that they think could be a gamer. I would think that would push them in that direction.
Yeah, I think that this GM from Minnesota is a little young and a little over his head. It just feels that way to me a little bit. Yeah, it just feels like he's in a little bit over his head. Like, I understand the Cousins thing because of the money, and you're going to have to pay Justin Jefferson. But like, again, to me, like Cousins, that was just unfortunate. That was like a freak accident. And now, I mean, Atlanta should be a really strong team. I know, Joe, sometimes we rag on Cousins, and I'm guilty of that as well. But the bottom line is the guy could play the position better than the majority of guys.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. Yeah, I'm not taking that away.
So it's like, I wonder about this GM from Minnesota, man. Like, I'm very curious to see, are they going to really like do something ultra bold and mortgage a lot of the future to go up and get a guy like a JJ McCarthy? JJ McCarthy to me is the most polarizing, interesting aspect of this draft because of all of the Giants love him, the Vikings love him. Harbaugh says he's the best quarterback in the entire draft. I'm ignoring all of it because I know the Bears are going to get the best guy in the draft. They're going to get the best guy. But I do think that after Caleb, I think it will be interesting to see where JJ goes, because I think his stock has been pumped and pumped and pumped so much this offseason that, and again, where does Michael Penix fall? And, it's just going to be one of the most fascinating first nights of NFL draft.
What's going to be fun to watch?
What's the guy's name from, it just fell out of my head. The guy's name from LSU. What's his fucking name?
Jaden Daniels.
Everyone is sleeping on Jaden Daniels. I don't understand. This guy is electric, man.
Now,
and whoever gets him.
Jaden Daniels won me a lot of money when he was playing at Arizona State, because not a lot of people knew when he was playing for Herm Edwards at Arizona State. Not a lot of people knew about him. Then when he comes to LSU, obviously now you're thrust into the SEC spotlight. And now, but he was a great player at Arizona State. He just didn't have the dogs tick. You know, you come to LSU, you got your Malik Neighbors, you know, running routes for you. So that's a big difference. But I agree, Tick. I mean, the only thing that worries me about Dan is a little undersized. He likes to run a lot. Like in the NFL, you run around at that size and you get clobbered enough, that could be problematic. And you saw it with Fields, who's not a small guy, 6'3", 220, 230. And he was getting injured every year. He was getting hurt, missing games every single year because he had to run a lot. I think it depends where Jaden Daniels goes, though, Tick, because I do agree with you. If it goes to the right situation, I think he could be a player.
Yeah, I mean, look at Russell Wilson in his prime, or Kyler Murray there for a little bit. I mean, it works. You just, like you said, you got to be in the right system, and hopefully someone takes a gamble on him. Because I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the draft. But
he'll go. I would imagine that Jaden Daniels is probably, I would put, for my money, I would say he's the number 2 quarterback off the board.
I would say that too.
Jaden Daniels? Yeah. I would say that Washington may be the team. You know, Caleb goes
Penix
one.
was talked so highly, and now all of a sudden,
injury
it's like
concerns. A lot of injury concerns.
Oh my God, man! It's like he was like the talk of the town, you know, and now it's like he's.
You got to remember too. Penix is a left-handed quarterback, right? So how is your team built existingly? Does it have that anchor left tackle? Because if it does, you need an anchor right tackle for Michael Penix, because his blind side is the right tackle, not the left tackle. So you have to have a franchise right tackle either in place, or you have to have the capital to be able to go and get one, or convert. Maybe you flip your left to right, but you can't really do that. Not with these guys. But Penix, I think it's just the injuries, dude. I just think the injury concerns. I mean, season-ending injury at Indiana. You know, the injuries this year piled up, and he just was not himself in the national championship game at all. It was obvious how banged up he was. So I think that's the main concern. But I mean, you got a guy like Boomer Esiason who talks, you know, he's on all the TV shows and say that's his favorite quarterback is Michael Penix. I mean, he's completely bought into him. He's got good takes when it comes to quarterbacks. He loved Josh Allen when Josh was coming out against all those other guys, and I respected him for that, because so did I. So Penix, if he could stay healthy, again, I think Penix got to go somewhere where it's a decent situation. He can't be behind a shitty offensive line and start getting pummeled, because that'll be tough for him.
Were you early on Josh Allen back in the day?
Yeah, I loved
coming out of Wyoming.
Josh.
You were?
The year that he came out, I think it was the Baker year, right? I think him and Baker were in the same draft. I believe it was him, Baker. I'd have to look at that particular draft, but he was
Baker was the same as Josh. It was not Rosen and Darnold.
Oh, Josh Rosen.
Rosen. I hated Josh Rosen. I listen. Here's the thing that scares me.
That guy fucking disappeared like a fart in the night.
That's what scares me about Caleb Williams, but I have to stop myself because Caleb's a Heisman Trophy winner. I saw a lot more out of Caleb Williams, but those California quarterbacks sometimes really scare me, like a Darnold.
Rosen's not even. I don't think he's a backup anymore.
No, he's out of the league. Yeah. He's out of the league. Yeah. I was
so
excited about him.
Grace,
I was going to UCLA at the same time he was there, and I went and saw him at the Rose Bowl a couple times. I was so excited, but you could tell even when he was at UCLA that this guy was not an NFL quarterback.
So you had Baker go 1-1, which I mean,
I think Rosen was 2, or Darnold was 2.
No, Darnold was 3 to the Jets.
Because Barkley was 2.
Rosen was like 20.
Barkley was 2 to the Giants. Darnold was 3 to the Jets. And then the Browns took Denzel Ward. The Broncos took Bradley Chubb. Colts took Quentin Nelson. Then the Bills took Josh Allen.
Wow.
And Rosen was drafted by the Cardinals at 10.
Oh, 10.
Now listen, I was very anti-Baker from Jump Street. I didn't like Baker. So to me, Josh Allen, I thought Josh was the biggest arm, the most NFL potential in Josh Allen. It just was going to take him being in the right situation. And who does he get paired up with? He gets paired up with future NFL head coach of the year, Brian Daboll, while he's in Buffalo. Brian Daboll was still the offensive coordinator, he developed Josh very well. And I think Buffalo's been reaping the benefits ever since of that. And Baker's been a journeyman, kind of bouncing around, couple teams. Rosen's out of the league, and Darnold's been a backup, so it's like, man. Yeah, that's just the NFL. So just back to the original point, Penix could be that guy. Penix could be the Josh Allen, although a lot more high profile, obviously, at Washington, playing in a national title, not like Josh at Wyoming, but like the stock dropping on Penix is something that eventually I think could come back, and people may look at it and say, wow, where did we go wrong not believing in Michael Penix?
Well, he could be like the Anthony Richardson of last year. Now, I know Richardson got hurt, but I do believe that he's got the skill set. He could be a special player, and he looked good
pretty fucking
before
good.
he got hurt. He looked
did.
really solid. I thought he was going to have a great year. I think he's kind of a guy that I would compare to like Jaden Daniels, although I don't even think he's got the arm strength that Jaden Daniels or Penix has. I don't think he could talk, like, maybe not the arm strength. He's got great arm strength, but the accuracy is.
I think the comp for Richardson is Josh. I think the comp for Richardson is Josh Allen, a super athlete who could run. He could run very well, but his completion percentage was always in question, when he started, and that was going to be what he needed to improve on. And that was the big knock on Richardson at Florida, was like, well, this guy's completion percentage was like, it should have been a lot better considering where he's playing, who he's playing with. So I actually think that the comp for Richardson could really be Josh Allen. And that would certainly be interesting to see if Anthony Richardson could have, even close to as good of a career as Josh has had so far.
The knock on Richardson's arm was way bigger than the knock on Josh's arm, as far as completion percentage and what he can do throwing the football.
Accuracy.
Yeah, but I think but like Josh, he has a cannon arm. Like,
he's got a cannon,
He has a major arm. It's just
true.
Do you have the guy that could harness all of that and have him understand, listen, we don't need the home run ball.
My point, Mikey, was he kind of got lost in the shuffle since it was CJ Stroud and Bryce Young to see like the 1 and 2.
Yeah,
so there's a guy that if those two aren't being so discussed heavily, he's a big time talent that, he kind of just got swept under the rug. And that's what I'm saying. A guy like Penix, could be like that, in the sense that, like, no one's talking about him right now. And the guy was unbelievable.
And I'll be rooting for Penix. I've been a fan of his since he was a Hoosier. I think he's a great player. And I think whoever gets him, I think is lucky. I think whoever ends up getting him, because I don't think that they're going to overdraft him. I think whoever actually gets him is going to be a very lucky team, because I think he's good. I think he's got a good head on his shoulders. I think he's a good leader. And the talent on the field is there. I mean, you saw what this guy did when he's healthy. He's lethal. I mean, he's absolutely lethal when he's healthy.
Yeah.
So somebody will get lucky with Michael Penix. I think if his body holds up, that's the biggest question mark. But if it does, I think he'll do well.
Do you guys think it's at all possible between all these quarterbacks, Drake May, JJ McCarthy, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, all these guys, do you think it's possible for any of them to end up being more impactful or a better player than Caleb Williams? Or do you think it's just a sure thing? Caleb's the best.
I think Caleb, the more I watch his tape, the more I think that Caleb is head and shoulders the number one guy, no doubt, pick. But the thing that is going against Caleb is history. History in Chicago as a quarterback is just a miserable, miserable history. So that's what he's got going against him. I have read every single article about his character and how he is off the field. And I mean, these coaches that have interviewed this kid just they just rave about him, his maturity. And he's only 22 years old, and his maturity and all this. It's just that what he chooses to do upsets people. Like, the things he chooses to do while he's on TV upset people. It upset me a couple times. I'm not going to sit here and say that I enjoyed every one of his antics that he was doing, where, the refusing of the interview, and the going to cry with his mom, and the nail painting, and the pink phone and the dress.
What's wrong with the nail painting though? That was the one thing. Who gives a fuck? If he wants
this is my final statement. This is my final statement on all of it. If this guy comes into the league and he's winning football games with the Bears, I could care less if he wears a pink and purple polka dotted fucking tutu at midfield, painting his nails. I could give a fuck, because the NFL is a business. And listen, I can only go by what I've seen and heard when he speaks in a capacity of a press conference or read what the coaches and the players are saying about him. And it's all good. There's no negative there, really. The only negative is from what people see him doing on television. So I think Caleb is the guy. That's not to say that he'll be the most successful. I don't think you could say he will be or he won't be, but I think he puts the Bears in the best position to win now. I think he definitely does.
There's another player that Mikey used to have an issue with on the Bears team, who used to dabble in some weird fashion.
Who's
the
that?
old wide receiver from the Steelers. You know who I'm talking about.
Chase? Yeah, Chase is
good old Chase.
The difference
Claypool.
between Chase Claypool and Caleb Williams is that Chase Claypool stinks at football. Like he flat out stinks.
But he used to dabble with some wild fashion.
He shouldn't have any. He was. See, that's a guy though that was like, you could tell like zero effort on plays. Like I watch Caleb. Caleb's a fucking dog. Caleb's running 20 yards downfield to throw blocks as a lead blocker. Like he's fired up. Like there's just a difference, man. Like Claypool. But yes, Joe, you're right. There's no question. But you know, I thought it was a good parallel that a lot of people are using now, especially because it's a Chicago guy, is Rodman. Like Rodman was the weirdest fucking dude in the world when he was with the Bulls. Did all of this wacky shit. Yeah, but it didn't matter because the guy was a dog on the fucking court. He could box you out. He would out rebound. It didn't matter how big you were. Nothing. He was the biggest dog out there. That's what I'm looking for in Caleb. If Caleb comes in like that, he's going to earn the respect of all his teammates very quickly, and it'll be a recipe for success. Could another quarterback have a better NFL career, Tick, to answer your question? Certainly they could. Certainly they could. But I would be livid if the Bears drafted any other quarterback.
No, of course. I mean, I know. Of course.
Caleb is the guy.
Sure. Joe, would you trade Jordan Love for the first pick to have Caleb Williams? Would you rather have Caleb Williams coming in than Jordan Love? No? I would rather have Caleb Williams than Jalen Hurts.
Are you nuts?
I would absolutely. I would 100%.
You haven't seen a single snap from Caleb Williams in the NFL.
But I've seen more than enough from Jalen.
You've seen Jalen Hurts take your team to the Super Bowl.
I know. I just don't believe in him. Okay, I want to. I'm going to get chewed up for that, by the way.
I saw Jordan Love in his first full season. I saw Jordan Love show that he can stay in a pocket. He can make a pass. He can make the decisions that are needed. And he's shown me that he can be a top-tier quarterback in this league. That is so hard to find that I wouldn't be willing to trade it for a guy who hasn't taken a single snap in the NFL. Now, maybe Caleb Williams is going to be much better than Jordan Love. But right now, I got a quarterback in my roster that I trust and I have confidence in. That goes a long way.
When do they have to pay Jordan Love? Because it's got to be soon.
Probably not this year.
Got to be soon.
I think it might be after this year.
I think it's got to be soon because when did they draft him? It feels like they drafted him years ago, doesn't it?
It was like 3 years ago.
Jordan Love contract. Here you go. 4 year.
He just signed.
Here you go. 4 year.
He just signed
for 180 million. Yeah.
So they drafted him in 2000. They drafted him in. When did they draft him, Joe? He's got 3 years of experience, right? Yeah, they drafted him in 2020. They drafted him 26 overall. Okay, so he's still under his rookie contract, right? Yeah. So now they got him this year. His base salary is $10 million.
He's a free agent in 2025. He's got another year before he's a free agent.
No, that's next year's 2025.
He just signed.
He's got this year.
No, he just signed. It seems like he's making.
It does. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He did. 4-year, $180 million deal.
Yeah. Years automatically void. I'm gonna have to look it up. I'm confused.
He got a 5-year contract worth $255 million.
Oh, now we're all throwing different numbers.
On May 3rd, 2023, Jordan Love's 1-year contract extension with Green Bay became official. Yes. So they signed him to a 1 year, and he's eligible to sign for another extension for more years and more money after that. So, I mean, the Packers, here's the thing with that is like, this is the Bears' opportunity because you're going to get Caleb on a rookie deal. The Packers, if Jordan Love continues to play the way he played in the playoffs last year, he's going to get a boatload of money.
Yeah,
the Packers are going to have to pay him a boatload.
And he'll deserve it.
Yes, and he deserves it absolutely. To Joe's point, you're asking him would he rather trade Love for the #1 overall pick. Joe's argument is the only argument that you could make, and it's the correct one. The argument is you've never seen Caleb Williams take an NFL snap. You've seen Jordan Love go on a road playoff game and hang however many points he hung on one of the top defenses in the league, and that's a fine stance to take. Tick, your stance taking him over Hurts.
That's wild.
That's a tough sell for me.
I don't know, man. I've just seen I get it.
I get it.
Ceiling.
I do get it.
I've seen the ceiling.
Yeah.
Because
okay.
Jalen Hurts has also had all the talent in the world around him. Imagine if he didn't. Imagine if he was somewhere else. This guy
Caleb Williams also had a really bad end to the season, Tick.
Like
a really tough end to the
season. What would Jalen Hurts have looked like on that Bears 2022 team?
Correct.
Not this year's team. The team last year that won 3 games.
I bet he would have looked a lot more like Justin Fields than people would like to admit.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I would tend to agree with that. I would. But that's not to say that I believe that Fields and Philly would have looked that much better than Hurts.
No, I would.
I don't think. I'm not sure he would have.
I agree.
But I agree with that, Tick. That like he is. You can't, you're behind the best offensive line in football. You got 2 top flight wide receivers. You got a top 5 tight end. You got a defense that was good enough the year they went to the Super Bowl. Certainly they were really good that year. This year, a little bit of a letdown, but yeah, if I'm Joe, I don't know if I'd trade it either, only because Love really looked.
He looked unbelievable.
He looked
I agree.
elite. He looked elite.
He looked like a top 5 quarterback.
He did. He played like it. I don't know if he certainly played like one. He certainly played it and he looked the part.
The fact this is his first full year playing too. I mean, you got to think he's only going to get better.
He's only going to get better. Yeah.
For sure.
No, you're not wrong. You're not
and
wrong.
On top of that ticket, he didn't even exactly have stud wide receivers that he was throwing the ball. It wasn't like he was, playing with a bunch of guys who were like, I'm not saying that, Romeo Doubs and, Christian Watson was hurt.
Christian Watson, when Christian Watson's healthy,
he was hurt half the year though.
No, I know.
So like my point is, it's like, he didn't have guys that he was throwing the ball to that looked like, it wasn't like he was throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson. So like
Joe, I simply posed the question, dog. I agree with you. I agree with you.
So high on Jordan Love right now.
That's good. You should be.
It's gonna be a real fun matchup. That first Caleb Williams Jordan Love game. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I mean, Packers Bears seems to always be a fun thing between the two of you guys. So
I mean, it's not really fun for me, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun going into it.
It never ends up.
By the third quarter, it's not
for like
so
a
fun.
half, and then it's not fun anymore.
Correct. Yeah. All right, let's move on. There's a lot of little stories here. I don't know what we want to get into. One that I actually thought was interesting only because it was carried on all of the sports shows in the mornings and everyone was talking about it. And I found it so silly. Maybe it's just that time of year where they have nothing to talk about. There's a UFL kicker that hadn't made a kick since high school. He hadn't made it. He was a soccer player in college, right?
Yeah.
And he made a 64-yarder in a UFL game. And now the NFL, like numerous teams are contacting this guy. They want to get him up there. Yes, correct. Yeah. I mean,
pretty wild.
Would you want to gamble on a guy who made one kick?
I'd bring him in. I'd bring him in just to see what he's got. I mean, the kicker's one of those weird things where it's like, who gives a fuck where he's from, what his backstory is. If he can kick a fucking field goal 64 yards in a game situation, let's just bring him in and see what the fuck he's made of. Why not? But yeah, that was interesting. Certainly. Also the touchdown that the center, did you see that? The center caught like a 60-yard touchdown or something. That was cool. Our boy cool. AJ McCarron, Battlehawks XFL, he's back doing his thing over there. And it's tough for me to watch some of that. It's tough.
What, the UFL?
Yeah, now I'm kind of back into like transitioning into baseball season, end of March Madness. Like, I don't know.
What about the USFL?
I need a break from football. Yeah, I don't even know, dog. What is it, like 3 leagues now, no?
Well, didn't the one with the Rock... They merged. The Rock, what was that called? Extreme, or...
Not the XFL.
XFL, correct.
Yeah,
XFL and USFL.
The Rock took it over.
merged.
Right.
Correct. Okay. Yeah. All right. One more thing before we get into who's a problem. Quickly, we'll just touch on this because it's kind of funny. They're making a Happy Gilmore too. Do you give a shit? Do you think it's funny? I mean, everyone's going to be older. They're going to try to recreate the same movie, which has never worked.
It's going to be fucking Chubbs is dead. I mean, he was dead in the first.
Well, he was dead in the movie.
He's really dead.
The golf heckler, the jackass guy died today.
He's dead.
He died today. He just died. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
He waited out to get another movie made and croaked.
He was the jackass.
The Sizzler shooter. I'll be at the Red Lobster.
Yeah, jackass.
Yeah, jackass. Yeah, that was.
I heard Paige. I think Paige Sporanic's in the new movie.
Oh, I heard the same thing.
I wouldn't be shocked if they got a bunch of those people in there.
She plays the girl that, like, you remember the girl that did like the beer pitchers and the white lace lingerie? She does that. God bless. Good for her.
God bless her. Happy for her.
Yeah. No, I don't give a shit otherwise, though.
I mean, it's
Adam Sandler. Grab, right? This Adam Sandler
he's cashing in.
He just makes there's a new Adam Sandler movie on Netflix every fucking other month. There's a new Adam Sandler movie. It's sick. Good for him.
Yeah, but some of them are pretty good. The non-comedy slapstick ones are pretty fucking good.
The Uncut Gems one was good.
Hustle.
That was excellent. And Hustle was really good.
Hustle was really good.
That was the basketball one.
Correct.
That was
really
good. That was Anthony Edwards.
But when he does like the rom-coms with Jennifer Aniston, like I've seen enough of that. Like I've seen that role a million
50
times.
First Dates.
Well, that's back in the heyday. That was a great movie. That's a great movie.
Oh,
Blended was good.
Blended was not good. Blended was a shitty movie. Blended was horrible. What are you talking about? That was the beginning.
Little Nicky
was funny. Yeah, Little Nicky was great. That was a classic.
That took me a while to get on board with, though. I had to watch that.
Big Daddy's classic. Billy Madison's classic.
Waterboy, yeah.
Waterboy's classic.
He went on quite a run there that's really paid off for the following 20 years.
He did.
Yeah.
God bless
Big Daddy was excellent.
Sure, I think someone said that. That was the first person, that was where I first started to devise the idea. I guess I stole it from that movie where they were talking about, like, why is McDonald's breakfast not open past 10:30? Like, how ridiculous is that? Because they got there just a little bit late. And I was like, that's so true. It's the best thing.
The best is the kid wants Cheerios. That's just the best. That's when you appreciate writing in a movie, because that scenario is so accurate. Like I would take Dom somewhere and he would ask for something that's totally out of the realm of possibility to be there. And you've waited so long to get there. You've traveled arduous paths to get there. And then you finally get there. You get to the front counter and you ask him what he wants. And he wants lasagna or Cheerios at McDonald's breakfast. Like that is
just
so
starts
well
throwing
written.
A fit.
Perfect. Chef's kiss. Great job with the writing team on that.
But the breakfast is the best thing they do. There's no reason that they shouldn't just be selling it all year long.
I said it on Brilliantly Dumb yesterday because Joe jumped on me. He was like, but you always say they rest on their laurels, and I do. But they are the best fast food breakfast in the game. It's not even remotely
It isn't close. Yeah, you're right.
It's not close.
You're right. I'm having a tough time looking at me like with this lighting. I feel like I look like a corpse. Is it okay? It's tough. All right, let's move on. Thanks, pal. Appreciate it. Let's move. All right. Let's move on to who's a problem. Mikey V. I usually start with Joe, but he seems to never be ready. So I
have mine today.
You do?
I have mine today.
All right. Let's go with Joey D first then.
Well, we kind of touched on him earlier, but Juan Soto is my problem, and it's a good problem because the guy is looking like an absolute stud, both sides of the ball. He made a play in that first game of the season where there was he threw the ball into home plate where
because he's cooler.
Oh, was that because he's cooler?
Yeah, it was. I mean, do you know what the Astros team run line was?
What was that?
4.5. And the Astros scored 4 in the first 2 innings. They didn't score another run the whole game, and that throw at the plate saved the 5th run.
But that was just that to me is just so instrumental of like what this guy brings. Everybody just thinks he's on the offensive side of the ball, he's going to hit home runs, and he has contributed on that side of the ball big time, but he also has been unbelievable defensively. And I just think he's added an element to this Yankees team that is pretty fun to watch. And like you said, Mikey, if these other guys wake up and start playing some ball, like this team could be a real fucking, a juggernaut.
If him, Judge, and Stanton ever started hitting together, and with Dominguez when he comes back, Like that's actually like it's a silly thing to think about. It's very, very silly. Like it's stupid. So it's a great who's the problem?
That was my buy or my problem.
Sure, that's your problem. Yeah. Mikey, who's your problem?
I'm gonna go far off base today, guys, but I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. Listen, a good problem as well. Caitlin Clark. The Iowa Hawkeye, the lady Hawkeyes,
she was
man,
unreal, man.
9 threes in NCAA tournament
41
record,
points.
41 points, assists, rebounds. She does it all. She's on the floor 37, 38 minutes a game. A legendary college athlete, men or women, don't think it really matters. I think she's one of the best of all time, either way. And I mean, listen, America responded to that game last night. The ratings for that game,
it was awesome.
It was better ratings than any MLB baseball game regular season last year, NHL games last year, MLS games last year, biggest ratings in women's sports history, college basketball, biggest ratings, ESPN college basketball feature of all time. And this one was the one that really like shook me. It was higher ratings than any college football game from last year in the regular season, but one game. Only one college football game. Yeah,
dude, the women's March Madness has been more followed than the men's.
The Angel Reese Caitlin Clark rematch ignited. I mean, everybody came to watch. I mean, it seemed like there wasn't a single person not watching that game last night.
I watched it, and by the way, Angel Reese was unbelievable.
Yeah,
she had 20 rebounds. She didn't shoot well, but she had.
But the first half, she had like multiple steals. She had at least 2 or 3 blocks. She had how many? I mean, she was unreal.
She's great. Great for the game. That rivalry was great for college women. See, it always takes it takes a rivalry or something like that to really push the sport. Like, that's what I think is missing in a lot of some of these other sports. Like, if there is rivalries, we need to know more about them. This was a very, very public rivalry. There was a lot of bad blood with Angel Reese last year doing the ring finger thing and the taunting. And now this year, Caitlin Clark comes back and has her revenge. And now, I think it's UConn as well. The women's team is in the 4. I think NC State.
NC State is in both. Yeah.
And you got Iowa and you got South Carolina.
South Carolina's the 1 seed. South Carolina's the 1.
Well, they're a 1. Iowa's a 1. UConn's a 3, and North Carolina State, I think, is a 3 as well.
Yeah.
So women basketball, college basketball, you don't really get too many like upsets ever. Like, it's usually always chalk in the women's tournament.
South Carolina is by far the best team. They're the UConn of old. They are unstoppable, and it would take a miracle for them not to end up winning this thing. But
right. So even with Caitlin Clark, there's like no shot.
A lot of people, it would be pretty wild if somehow it would be a massive upset if South Carolina.
Right. How many games? They've lost the game though this year.
South Carolina, I don't think they've lost a single game.
They're undefeated the whole year.
I'm almost positive they're undefeated.
Really?
Now
that's tough.
Imagine if Caitlin Clark wins the national title in her senior year.
Yeah, they're 36.
I can't.
36-0.
My God.
They're 36-0.
Correct. It would be a massive upset if they ended up losing that thing.
Yeah.
That being said, what a great time to be enrolled at NC State. I mean, you've got a lot to look forward to.
I mean, listen, they only beat Indiana in the Sweet 16 by 4 points, 79-75. So it's not like they're now in the.
Who are they up against now? They're against.
They destroyed Oregon.
They're playing NC State.
They're playing NC State.
Oh, they're going to crush them.
I don't know though. 4-seed Indiana took them to 4 points. Now all the other games, the first round
demolished.
They beat a team by 60 almost. Then they beat North Carolina by over 40. But then Indiana, they played them to 4 points. I mean, so that was interesting. So I mean, either way, Caitlin Clark is my problem this week. It's a great story for her. It's a great story for Iowa. Great story for women's college basketball. A great story for women's sports in general.
Yeah, great story for
women's sports back on the map. I think with this stuff. I mean, really, I haven't seen interest in women's sports like this to this degree of ratings since like maybe
USA
the women's World Cup.
Team.
Yeah, That's what I was.
Well, a big part of that was because the biggest thing they got going for them is women's college basketball. And for such a long time, it was just UConn winning. It's like he didn't even have to watch. They were just going to win. Gino Auriemma had those girls fight. I mean, he always had the best recruits, and it was just wasn't even fun to watch there for a while, unless you go to school in Storrs, Connecticut, and you're part of that whole thing. But anyway, all right. My problem this week is, again, it's not sports related, as often my problems are. Quitting the gym is a real fucking problem. They make
LA Fitness tick.
They make it impossible. No, I went to this place called
quit the gym.
To quit the gym.
Yeah.
To quit the gym is damn near impossible. I get transferred to a different department, and then that guy puts me on hold for 20 minutes. And then that guy puts me in touch with another guy. And then he says, we're going to have to call you back. And then you're going to have to send this email to do this. And then I don't hear from the email, and it's impossible. It's not LA Fitness. It's like a small, like, boutique gym in LA. And they've just made it fucking impossible. And
that's what they do.
And they want you to forget about it. And then I did forget about it. And now the month went by. I saw another charge for $90.
You have it on a credit card?
I think I might have it on a debit card, because they got me to do that, because then I would pay less. They had this whole thing where I was paying less for the debit card, and I didn't think I was leaving there anytime soon. Anyway, and it's just become a fucking nightmare. And I wish I could walk in there, and I know they'd still make like, oh, the manager's not in, because he's never in when someone wants to cancel. And it's a fucking racket is what it is. They want you to get frustrated. They want you to forget, and then they can charge you again. And they want to see how many times they can keep doing that and keep getting $90 out of you until you fucking lose it and kill everybody and kill your family.
LA Fitness and I went at it for weeks.
Well, I mean, they're driving me nuts, Mikey. They're making me go crazy.
Well, let's strike that from the record.
Well,
let's strike that from the record. I mean, that's. I've canceled gym memberships before. It is like, it is stupid. Like, they even have the balls to ask you. Like, I made an excuse.
Why are you quitting?
I was like, well, I'm moving. I'm not going to be close to the gym anymore. Well, where are you moving to? Like, fuck you. They interrogate you.
Because they have branches, and they want to say, well, we could actually just transfer your membership to this location. I know. It's impossible. It's fucking ridiculous.
Do they have one in Jupiter?
No, and it doesn't matter. That's not the point. I don't give a shit if they do. I have one in the community here.
Joe sounds like he works for him. Joe might work for him. Joe might work for him.
I'm just saying, Tick's going to get a fucking ulcer after dealing with them. If they have one here, it might be easier just to transfer it over.
Because it's been 2 months now. That's $180. And then I know what they're going to do too, because I've been through this with other gyms, is that they're going to say, okay, well, there's a cancellation fee. And it's like, what do you mean?
By the way, that is insanely expensive.
$90.
$90 is not that bad.
It was a nice gym. It's not Equinox, Mikey. Mikey's like $150.
I pay $12 a month for my gym.
What?
And it ain't a Planet Fitness, and it ain't a
fucking, but do you get it through your gig, through your job? Do you get a discount through your job?
No.
12 a month.
Where do you pay $12? You can't even go to the YMCA.
That you talk about.
Blink Fitness. Blink.
What is there, just a couple dumbbells in there?
Blink, and they're going to be bankrupt.
I'll say this. I'll say this. I mean, there's times where, like, equipment's not open. It gets frustrating. Like, if you're going during peak hours, it's frustrating. Like, cardio equipment, you could always get.
You can't ever be frustrated for $12, my man. You can't. Ever.
That's the thing.
That's my SIP club money.
You can't get right. I mean, it is cheap. It's very
also, by the way, shifting gears, Joey D put up a post the other day for the SIP Club. I'm now fully convinced that he's getting paid.
It wasn't a post, it was a story.
It was a story, sure.
Joey D is there's two things going on here, okay? It's one of two scenarios. Only one of two could be a possibility. There's no, like, in a multiple choice exam.
That's how you know.
In a multiple choice exam, like, there's A, B, and C. This is not multiple choice. It's either true or false, right? Here's the two scenarios. He is either fishing for that sponsorship because he wants it so desperately, which I can understand and appreciate. I think he deserves it. Quite frankly, I think he's good for them. Number two, he already has it. Those are the only two scenarios that exist in this equation, the only possibilities. It's not because he likes the coffee so much, which I'm sure he likes it, but he doesn't like it that much, right? It can't be that good right?
Pretty good.
You say coffee. Yeah, I understand that, Joe. And I love my Wawa blueberry cobbler coffee that I have every single morning also.
Ew.
But I don't post it on my story it's delicious.
That sounds
Anyway,
disgusting.
back to the point. Joe, it's either you're fishing, you got a little there's been DMing. I guarantee there's been DMing with
There's
Panera.
been no DMing. I'm just manifesting what I think will end up coming to
want
fruition.
the Panera. You want the Panera.
I want Panera, man.
I don't blame
I'm going
you.
on the
I don't
board.
blame you.
By the way, how many times has Bob shouted out Jersey Mike's? And he didn't have a fucking sponsorship with them.
He openly admits that he was hunting.
I'm saying right now, and if Panera's listening, and I've tagged them on multiple occasions. I don't know if they've seen the stories, but you know what? I'm creating a little bit of an army.
I want mush real bad. I want mush real bad.
Yeah, you put in mush. You have to go out there, and sometimes you want something,
Didn't
you go out and get
mush? Didn't someone
well,
have mush?
They
sent him stuff.
Mush sends me stuff all the time, which is great. I love mush. I mean,
that's the first step. That's the first step, Michael.
It's excellent, but they don't, as of now, have an ambassador program, which is unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
First step, you know why that's bullshit? It's because they're sending you the free shit and they're expecting you to do it for free. They're expecting it to be a quid pro quo thing.
No, they're not, because they've never said to me once, like, "Oh, we're sending this. Please put it on your story," or "We would love if you put it on your story." They never have said that.
But they know that you will.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah, why not?
It's kind of like it's kind of like an unwritten rule of ambassadorship development. It's kind of an unwritten rule on Instagram. Like if a company's going to send you shit and it's it's really nice stuff, or they send it on a consistent basis. It's
G4 sent me a bunch of shoes. I immediately posted a story. That's
right.
It's
correct.
It just comes with the territory. And if I'm going to get really now. Shoes as opposed to mush. It's not to say that mush. I'm not saying mush is not good. I'm saying the cost value. Sure. Yeah, but I'm saying the cost of a pair of golf shoes.
I don't know, man. They've sent me a lot of mush. How
much is a package of mush?
It's expensive. Gotta be pricey. Yeah, I would bet.
Expensive?
It's expensive.
I would bet
it's not cheap.
that.
It's not cheap. Another one that I want is that Duke Cannon. That Duke Cannon men's like wash supplies, like body soap and stuff. That's another company. Expensive shit. They'll send you stuff all the time, but again, tough to get into. But Panera, Joe will nail down Panera eventually. That's
at some point.
Panera may be in dire straits. They may not be able to afford you. Joe.
Panera is not doing well, man. I would
They're
give them another year and a half.
They're on the ropes.
Maybe they need a fucking white knight.
Joe is single-handedly resuscitating the whole business.
Maybe that's what they need.
It could be.
In a desperate attempt, they put out the Sip Club to try to restore, member opportunities within the branding, and now they just need someone to sing the praises of the Sip Club.
They just needed a gorgeous.
The Sip Club's a good deal, bro. It really is.
It is a good deal.
I haven't spent a dime for the first 2 months. I've been drinking coffee every day for free. And then after that, and by the way, Mikey, I tried, it's not just the coffee. It's all beverages, fountain sodas. They have a papaya passion fruit, green iced tea. That'll knock your socks off. It's part of the Sip Club.
Are we listening to this? A papaya passion fruit iced tea.
You could drink those every 2 hours. It's refreshing. Ticket. I'm going to take you one day this week. We're going to go in there.
He's going to treat you to the Sip Club, Tick. So get ready.
I'll buy him the coffee.
Of course. I said he's going to treat you to the Sip Club. I said that. He's going to treat you.
How much is it again? It's $12.99. It's the same price as Mikey's gym membership.
It's $12. Right? It's the same as Mikey's.
Okay.
But I mean, listen, in a perfect world, you could get Sip Club and a gym for less than $25 a month.
Unbelievable. You throw an only subscription, you're under $30 a month. That's unbelievable.
Mikey, by the way, I got kicked off the only subs.
Oh my.
I'm not saying that you kicked me off. I'm saying
I can't kick people off unless I block you. That's the only way.
I'm saying somehow though, like, I went to
so here's what happened.
Wednesday.
Your card on file probably expired. Whatever card you used to pay for stuff on Instagram.
Probably the one that he used for the gym and he tried to cancel it.
That could be. Yeah, that could very much be. Wait, what's the other option? Because I know it's not that one.
I mean, I don't see any other possibility. I don't know.
Because I don't have any cards that expire. Oh, maybe I had it on that. Maybe I had it on
there. It is.
I had to get a new MasterCard. Yeah, okay, that's what it probably was. But you know what sucks though is because now I go and hit subscribe, I'm on some sort of waiting list.
That's a big problem. That's a big problem.
I can't get back in, dog.
A lot of people have told me that, and that's like a real issue. I don't know what that is, but no. That's right. Because that card is expired. That's why. It's
going to go on the Patreon.
So when I put my new card when I put my new card on Instagram, it'll just let me right in.
Yes.
Oh, so
well, you're gonna have to try and resubscribe, but it'll let you do it at that point. It should.
I don't know. It's weird. It's just saying that I'm in some sort of waiting list. That's
strange. Because when your card on file expires, that's what happens. You go to a waiting list.
Oh,
that's what happens.
Okay. So weird. It's
very weird. But that's why
because I tried to watch the Wellness Wednesday and I fucking missed it, and everyone was talking about it.
Good. It was good. It was good Wellness Wednesday. Good.
That was physical fitness.
All right. Anyway, let's move on here to viewer questions. This one comes from Jagger Katz.
Jaeger.
Jaeger Kataz. How do I pronounce KTAZ? How do I pronounce that?
Kataz.
Kataz.
Maybe it's silent. Maybe it's Taz. Maybe it's like Krzyzewski. It's just silent.
Sure.
The K is silent.
Sure. Oh my God.
Jaeger Taz wants to know, it's a question for Mikey, but I think we should open it up to Joe and myself as well. This is not a sports question, but need Mikey's opinion on top 3 items a new father should have. I think that's I think it's a great question.
Wow, that is a very good question.
I mean, Mikey can start. Are we talking like this is the problem though? Like, are we talking like items for the baby?
No, I don't. I think he just means as what would a good father have?
Top 3 items as a new father. You're aspirin probably. You may want like one of those like sleeping masks, like one of those like to cover, because you may be taking naps. You may be trying to take naps at odd times of the day when the sun is out. So you may want one of those masks. You're certainly going to want to have like chargers everywhere in every room that you could possibly have them in, because you're going to be just bouncing around everywhere. Like, it's just going to turn you newborn baby. When you bring a newborn from the hospital, it just turns your life completely upside down because you have no idea what you're doing the first one. You have no idea. Okay. So this is your first one. Like, you just got to be prepared in that regard. So I would say that the chargers, the eye mask, and then I would say, I would definitely get one of those. There's these pillows that they make that are like a U-shaped pillow, which is like, it supports your arms while you're holding the baby on your lap.
Oh, that's smart.
So your arms don't go numb holding the baby, because if you just try and hold it without pillows underneath your arms, eventually they're going to give way. So there, it's some name like Docatot. I don't think that's the name of it, but it's something like that. It's like a U-shaped pillow to hold the baby. I would absolutely grab one of those. Absolutely.
I was going to go in a completely different direction. But that shows how far removed I am from having kids.
Sure.
Like, it's not happening anytime soon. It's I was going to say like a power drill. Is something good to have.
We talked about that on Brilliant and Dumb. As a man, I think you should have.
I was going to say like a grill, like a good grill.
Love that also. You should have that also.
That's a good one.
And then
I'm gonna start checklisting all this shit because I'm gonna need to know.
Then like sharpened knives, like a good knife set, like for cooking. Like, I think that would be my 3.
Oh, I mean, these are things that you should. I think every man should have these items. I don't think a child is necessary for you to have these items. I think power drill,
fair enough.
Grill. Well, grill. I mean, like a grill. Like, you're not gonna get a grill if you live in an apartment. So like if you're at a home, you need tools, you need a grill, you need all those things, knives, all that shit.
But I think my newborn baby would be proud of me knowing that I had those 3 things.
Sure, I think so too. The little tick.
I think he would.
Mini tick.
The stub.
That's right. A
little stub.
Little ticket stub. Oh, Joe, what are you thinking?
For me, I mean, I suggested the aspirin. I would say,
Joe.
Listen, Mikey, I'm not that far away. I
know you're not. That's the scary part. But Joe, I feel like is going to be like a very old school dad. Like, are you going to get your hands in there and change diapers, Joey? You're going to get
I'm going to have no choice.
All right. Good. That's important. That's good.
I mean, well, I'm not going to make Nicole change every diaper that the kid shits himself.
No, you
have to pay your dues.
Wait till you see the dumps that these kids take once they get like 4
On
or 5
what?
years
They're
old.
drinking breast milk.
No, when they're 4 or 5, Joe.
Oh,
when
4 or 5.
Like
4 or
Dom,
5.
like Dom.
I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for that.
Dom can throw some rope, dog. This motherfucker. This guy could throw rope with the best of them. Today, man, he took a dump. I was like, bro, are you fucking serious? It's just unbelievable. When they're babies, it's nonsense because, like, you're right, Joe. They don't eat anything. It doesn't even really smell. It's just like sloppy. It's like a mess. But it's not even like
what age do you start the potty training? Like 2?
That's a great
You
question.
can start after 1. You can start after 1.
That seems young.
No, as early as like 1.5, 2 years old. Like you
put
like Dom was good to go by like, I want to say Dom was like.
Do you put the fake potty over the real toilet?
So they make little toilets, like little mini toilets for the kids. Like they obviously like they just do what they do in them, and then you just clean them out. You know, you dump them into the regular toilet and you flush it from there. But it's like their own little mini toilet with a little when they flush it, it makes a little noise. Like it's cute.
Is it hard to clean?
That's what Dom trained on. No.
When do they start like having personality? Like when do they stop making noises and like develop interests and become
Dom spoke a lot earlier than Dom spoke a lot earlier than Gabriella did. Dom was doing like every animal sound he could recite to you by the time he was like 9 months old. It was insane. But he walked early, he talked early. Gabriella, she was on like a normal pace, but Dom was like ahead. But personality wise, I mean, I started seeing personality traits like really like 2 years. I would say like you really could start. And now like Dominic and Gab have like complete personalities. Gab's going to be 3 in June. Dom's going to be 6 in October. So Dom's had a personality now for years, couple years. So
loves karate.
I would say two. I would say right around like 2. Once they start walking and talking, that's when you could see the personality really come out.
Joe shook his head at that. I thought that was a great question. I thought that was interesting to know.
I mean, you were acting like when they come like adults, like.
Well, when do they stop being this little thing and start
little shit?
Not for a long time.
That's why. Let me tell you something. When a new dad, and I think every dad, and I'd love to see comments from guys with kids. I think you'll agree with me, guys with kids, that if you have 2 kids or multiple kids, you know that dads who complain about the newborn stage don't realize how good they have it. When you have a newborn baby, yes, the baby may cry. Yes, you may be up at very odd hours of the night, but that baby is not talking back to you. That baby is not doing anything fucked up because they can't move. They don't go anywhere. They're stationary. They're not a problem. You just got to make sure that they're fed, clean diaper, and that's it. Feed them and I have a clean diaper. That's it. That's all you got to worry about. Once they get mobile and they start talking, that is a whole different ball game of problems you have to worry about. So newborn stage is not something that I would be overly, in retrospect, is not something that you should sweat nearly as badly. It may seem like a lot, but trust me, you're still able to do things because you bring the baby, like the baby is not going to fuck with you. The baby is not going to jump up and start running around and acting crazy and shit. He's just going to stay there. He or she's just going to stay there. Just make sure they're fed and clean diaper. I'm telling you, newborn stage, not bad. Not bad.
All right. That's good to hear.
I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you. Newborn, and I'm guaranteeing guys will double down on that in the comments. You'll see.
All right. I thought newborns were tough. From what I heard.
Joe. You just listen, you have to accept the fact that your sleep schedule is not going to be
I could go without sleeping Mikey anyways. I could sleep 3 hours.
Then you're ahead of the ball game. You're ahead of the ball game.
I could sleep 3 hours in a night and be fine.
Yep. Yeah, then you're going to be absolutely fine. And you never know. Some babies, newborns, they do a lot better sleep-wise. Like only, not every newborn baby did. It's not like they're not going to sleep. It's just that they wake up every so often. Like every couple hours, they'll wake up. They pee themselves.
Now, my question is, if they wake up in the middle of the night, they want the boob. What am I going to do?
You're not going to do anything. That's the beautiful thing about breastfeeding. Gentlemen, listen.
Well, how do you know which one they want?
I can only say this. If your wife or partner says they want to breastfeed, you support that and run with that ball as long as you possibly can, because it will get you out of every late night wake up feeding. There is. Now you're going to get woken up because your wife is going to be like, oh, the baby crying, you may hear it.
Yeah.
But like, there's a difference between waking up in your bed and actually having to get your ass out of bed, prepare a formula bottle and give it to the baby. If your wife is strictly breastfeeding, you better encourage that for as long as you possibly can do so. Just encourage it.
But
they want to do that.
Don't they wake up in the middle of the
sports? Analysis to like literally.
I'm wildly interested.
This is newborn advice.
This is great. No, don't they wake up in the middle of the night for something other than to feed though? Don't they like just want to be rocked back to sleep?
If they have a really horrible diaper, maybe like a diaper change.
Yeah.
Now in that case, your wife or partner may make you get up and handle that, which is different. But I mean, predominantly, I mean, listen, I'm gonna tell it exactly like it is. Every time my kids woke up, I got woken up, but I didn't get the fuck out of bed. Like Holly got out of bed to feed the kids. Like that's just, if you got a wife who's going to breastfeed, just don't discourage it, encourage it. And it could get very discouraging because, there is like, the baby may not be latching on right away. And your wife may get very panicky in the beginning that they're not doing something right or they're doing something wrong. You just got to continue to encourage them, and you got to continue to tell them, that's all you got to do, because that could get tough too.
This is very wild, dude.
Wild world, dog.
He's telling us to convince our future wives to fucking breastfeed, so we don't have to get out of bed.
No. I said if they want to do that, I would support that until my dying day. I would not. You have to be a complete sociopath of a man to say, no, don't do that. Let's do formula. You are opening yourself up to a million wake ups in the middle of the night if you want to do that.
Okay. But just for the record, so if she says that she wants to do formula, would you have devised at least an argument?
No, at the time, no, because I wouldn't have known any better. But I'm giving you guys the inside tips.
Sure.
Okay. At the time, I had no idea. I had no idea at the time.
Right.
But in retrospect, I would have been like,
I tell you what, man, Jaeger K-Task just opened up a whole can of worms.
Changed the whole show. Changed the whole show. All right, let's.
We're now a baby show.
We're three men and a baby. All right, next question comes from Sean. No last name, thank God. Favorite Saturday morning cartoon?
Oh, wow.
It's a good one.
Favorite Saturday morning cartoon?
Correct.
I liked Recess. I loved Recess. Sure. And I also liked Hey Arnold.
Is that a Saturday? That's fine. Those are just cartoons. Weren't Saturday cartoons like special?
Recess was.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Actually, Recess was every Saturday morning. Maybe Hey Arnold was. The old school Batman, like the Batman animated series. I used to always watch that.
Like Batman Beyond?
Batman Beyond. I don't know what it was called. It was like the Batman on. It was an animation Batman. I'm sorry, I don't know what the fucking.
No, I know.
It was the animated series Batman, and then I watched Recess religiously every Saturday.
Yeah, Recess was great. Mikey?
Muppet Babies.
What?
I didn't know that one.
Muppet Babies. Yeah, Muppet Babies, the original Jim Henson Muppet Baby cartoon. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a good one. And then what else was there? I used to watch Saturday like WWF. That was like a big thing on Saturday. It was like Saturday Superstars or whatever. That was big in my house. Really big.
I thought it was always Monday Night Raw and then Thursday Night SmackDown.
That was later when I was older. When I was a kid, there was Saturday Superstars or whatever it was, and it was like Saturday afternoon or late afternoon or late morning, early afternoon.
We're dating ourselves here, Mikey.
Yeah, I'm old. I'm not. I don't
even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
young guy,
young tick with the world ahead of him.
Not that young.
Yeah, he does. He's got the world by the balls. He really does.
Appreciate it. Maybe one day I'll fix the lighting in here. And I'll say that I like Dragon Ball Z or something.
What about G.I. Joe? Wasn't G.I. Joe?
Oh, G.I. Joe was good too. Yeah,
that wasn't on.
G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe.
Yeah, sure. I'll go with like Dragon Ball Z or like I don't know, like Pokemon.
Did you watch Pokemon?
Yeah, Pokemon
was good.
That was
I used
great.
to watch Ash Ketchum.
I missed Pokemon, bro. Like I just didn't.
I love Pokemon, man.
Like that just wasn't like something that I ever.
I want to be the very best.
Yeah,
like no one ever was.
Yeah.
To catch them was my real test. To train them is my call. I used to know the whole song.
You're great with remembering music.
I
You're
will
very
travel across the land,
Yeah,
searching far and wide. Use Pokemon to understand the power that's inside. Pokemon, gotta catch them. It's you and me. I know it's my destiny. Pokemon. Okay. Keep going.
That was great, Joe. Wow.
You're my best friend.
That was
in
really
a world
good.
we must defend.
That was lovely.
I mean, Pokemon was great.
You loved it. You wanted to catch them all.
He definitely loved it. There's no question about it.
I thought it was. I love the training cards.
You mean like the cards that you would collect?
Yeah, like the shinies.
Yeah, the
remember
holographic.
Pokemon made a big comeback not too long ago. Remember
that but app? Now they've added all.
Everyone was on the app where like you would find
Pokemon Go
and shit.
Pokemon
Go. That was
the original was the Game Boy game. With the Game Boy Red, the Pokemon.
There was red, yellow, and blue. Yeah, those were sick.
Yeah.
Those were the good old days. Now they got all these new Pokemon that aren't real Pokemon. It's just like they're trying to make it.
Well, there was only 150, and it wasn't too hard to catch them all.
Now
there's conceivable. There's thousands.
Now there's thousands.
Because they got to keep selling. You know, it's a business. It's not about the kids.
Never about the kids. Joe, come on. This has been a fun Q&A.
Yeah, we'll do one more and then we'll get out of here because it's been a while. And this one's not about sports either, but it's from Tommy DePaula. It's a quick one too. Can you put ketchup on a BLT?
What the fuck is that? No. No. What the fuck is that? No, you can't put ketchup on anything but French fries, dog.
No, you can put it on a burger.
Yeah. I don't like it on anything. I don't like ketchup at all.
Don't let me catch you putting it on a fucking hot dog. I can tell you that. Don't put it on a dog.
Oh, it should be on a hot dog.
Should be?
Oh, no. Mustard and relish. Mustard is the way to go. How would you
Joe,
dress
you get kicked out? You get kicked out of Chicago if you put fucking ketchup on a dog.
No way. I put everything on it. I would put ketchup, mustard, relish, some diced onion, maybe some
I like that.
What's the other stuff?
You know, it's good that sauerkraut. Sauerkraut's great. Cherry pepper relish is great.
Relish. You a mustard guy?
I'm a mustard and relish. And you could put like 1,000 pounds of relish on it. Like I just fucking love relish.
I would agree.
But yeah, no, ketchup on a BLT.
That's wild.
You ever see people
do another one? That's not even a real.
You ever see people put ketchup on eggs? That's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I do scrambled eggs.
Yeah, scrambled eggs. Yeah. See,
I'll either do ketchup or I'll do hot sauce.
Dom loves a little ketchup on his scrambled eggs. He does. I don't.
Scrambled eggs with cheese. I'll put either ketchup or I'll put hot sauce.
You know, it's a great thing to put in eggs, scrambled eggs, Joe. So before you cook them, you mix up the egg yolk with a little sour cream, a little dollop of sour cream.
I'd believe that'd be good.
Real solid.
Yeah.
One more tick. That was.
That was horrific. That was horrific. Thank you for listening, though, and we appreciate you. But man, oh man, let's get another question for next week. You got to come back with something better than that.
Get another rep in. You know, he was just getting started.
Another rep. That's all. Yeah.
All right. This last one comes from Evan Klein. When can we expect to see another guest interview on the show?
Great question. I think Joe has one lined up.
Yeah, we're working on one. Should I just even say who it is, or
don't
just keep it?
He said he's in. He's in.
Is he definitely in?
He's in. I got to figure out when it's going to work best.
He's in season, so it's tough.
We're bringing an NHL player on next. I can see that, and an NHL player from a Stanley Cup champion team. So
now we're winding it down.
Yeah, he plays on the West Coast. If you want to get real specific about it,
I think.
I know.
It's good because you know what the thing is right now the playoffs are amping up, but I think it's good to get these guys like before the perspective, like playoff seasons and like these big time it's a big time.
I have so many questions for a hockey guy, man. Like I want to know about the best fight.
And you know what the best part is? This guy watches the Sportsmen all the time. He listens. He is a top 5 or top 10% listener to the Brilliantly Dumb show. He watches every single. Yeah, so like he's fully in. So
if he's listening now, I'm going to tell him this is one of the more volatile betting seasons in the NHL that I've ever seen. So very volatile.
Why don't you just tell him when he's on the show, Mike?
Yeah, I will.
You can.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean,
so
it's
that
not,
should
it's
be
not his
coming.
fault.
No,
It
it's
should
not.
be coming. It should be coming soon, but we have it lined up.
You
That's
had
a good question.
You had a great season betting last year on hockey, Mikey.
You did.
Playoff hockey.
Playoff
hockey. Yeah.
Playoffs.
And you know what? We started really hot in MLB, but we lost tonight, and I'm very upset about it. Very pissed.
What did you have?
Had the Rangers over 2.5 total runs in the first.
Oh, they got blown out.
Yeah, they did. They got totally shut down. Very
Which is
upsetting.
crazy because Tampa Bay has been playing like shit so far. So
it's inexplicable. This is baseball though, so it's
inexplicable. It makes it sound like there's no way he could.
The 162 game season, but this one game is inexplicable.
Well, because I didn't pick the Rangers to win. They're one of the highest scoring teams in the league right now. I mean, granted, the sample size isn't big, but I thought that was tremendous value, 2.5 runs. But it is what it is. We're on to tomorrow.
Hey, take it. By the way, while we were doing the episode, Bryce Harper hit a grand slam, and the Phillies won.
I think he hit a couple home runs.
He hit a grand salami.
Okay,
wow,
that's lovely. That's fantastic.
Yeah, Phillies are back.
Phillies are back.
The way back.
They're now
back
one
in the
game
World
behind
Series.
500, and they're back.
Complaining about the Phillies this early was despicable. It's despicable. Despicable. I understand the Eagles because the Eagles.
He had 3 home runs in the game. 3
There
home
you
runs.
go.
One of them
There
was
you
a
go.
grand slam.
And one of them was a grand
So how many
slam.
fucking RBIs did he have? 20?
That's
Well, he had a grand slam, so that's 5 right there.
It's 6.
Or
He had
4
6.
right there. 4 right there.
So
Two
two solos and a grand
Correct.
slam. Still a pretty
6
good,
RBIs.
a pretty good goddamn night.
Pretty
No
great
more
day.
complaining about the Phillies.
Oh, fuck off, Mikey.
Until at
It's
least
one game,
June.
just like your
Until at
Texas
least
Rangers
June.
game tonight. It's one game. I mean,
Yeah, but
we'll
I'm not
see.
a Rangers fan, though. I could rag on them. That's not a
No,
problem.
I'm
a
not
Rangers
really. I mean, I just sometimes these bats, man, our offense can be an issue. Tonight we scored 9. That's lovely. Let's keep doing that. It can't all be Bryce though. That was the problem last year. The second Bryce went cold anyway.
Well, Schwarber was good.
I just mean in the playoffs. The second we went cold against Arizona, like when Bryce went cold, the whole team, no one could hit. And it's like you need these guys like Trey Turner and Schwarber to be there all the time.
Oh, I love Trey Turner, man.
He's awesome.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah.
But
Imagine the Dodgers had that
a
guy
little
too.
disappointing.
What a
you know what, man?
fucking fulfillment of riches.
I am
an abundance of riches.
I am rooting vehemently against this Dodgers team, man. I just don't want to.
That's not going to get you anywhere.
I just don't want to see him win. Just don't want to see him win, Tick.
Okay. Well, I'm sure a lot of people feel that way about the Yankees.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
for
Absolutely.
sure.
Absolutely, they do.
They're like the West Coast Yankees now. That's all they are.
They're just not. They're not. They're not as gritty. They're not as gritty as the Yankees are. The Yankees are a gritty team. They're gritty team.
Okay. Sure.
I think we can end it on that.
You bought all that grit. All right, guys. That's another episode of the Sportsman.
This was a fun one.
This was a good one. This was a long one.
2-hour show. 2-hour show.
This was almost a 2-hour show. Two. All right, boys. Fun one. Mikey V, we will see you next week. Joey D, we'll see you next week. I'm the Big Ticket. And till next week, folks. What are you smirking at, Mikey?
I was waiting for me to end the fucking show.
I just did. I
I didn't hear the recording.
I didn't hear the recording has ended.
Oh, I didn't stop the recording. I just said till next week.
Well, I mean, that doesn't mean the show's over.
I thought his Wi-Fi went out.
I thought his
Wi-Fi went out.
Froze.
I thought you guys froze. All right. Till next week. See you later, guys.